Project is a database of publicly posted social media posts made by police officers. And the database, which contains over 5,000 of these posts, most from current officers, but some from former police officers, shows a subculture of bias and violence in American policing today. We saw a lot of posts, memes, conversations where officers appeared to be endorsing violence against protesters, violence against people of color, violence against people accused of crimes. A number of officers seemed to endorse or encourage people trying to run over protesters with their cars. There were others where they talked about wanting to beat or kill or shoot suspects.
It looks like police officers across this country better be careful what they put on Facebook or any type of social media, because now there are several hundred police officers in hot water over what they posted and commented on using their personal Facebook profiles. Thanks to this woman, Emily Baker White. She's an attorney out of Philadelphia. She started a website called the Plainview Project, www.plainview.org, like you see on the screen there. She's basically taking the Facebook posts of police officers and putting them in a database that you can search in many different ways, which is located on her website. I'm going to get into that a little bit more later, but first I wanted to make it clear that this post that you see on the screen here does come from the personal Facebook page of the person listed on top, Michael Joseph, who is a verified former or active police officer. Rank doesn't matter here. They have everyone from patrolman to sergeant to lieutenant. It doesn't matter. If they found somebody who posted anything inappropriate, anything racist, anything aggressive, violent, promoting violence, promoting racism, it's on this database.
And we have redacted the names and faces of all of the people who made comments who we weren't sure were law enforcement officers. But in those comments, when there was a person that we were able to verify was a law enforcement officer, that person's comment has been included as well. And one of the things that we saw in the comments was you get this sort of toxic piling on culture, which I think social media may bring out in a lot of us, where the first person, the initial poster, will say something that's somewhat violent or perhaps somewhat seems to discriminate against a group of people. And then the post underneath just escalate and escalate. You know, I would have kicked that guy more. Well, I would have punched him. Well, I would have shot him. They all need to be shot. Like there's a sort of toxic feedback loop where these officers seem to encourage one another to talk in a violent way. So many officers in the database do have leadership positions. They're sergeants, some of them are lieutenants, etc. But how many sergeants, lieutenants, captains had access to this information? I don't know. Not everyone makes public who their Facebook friends are.
Yeah, so this chick means business, and I wish my attorney was as easy to look at. As you can see, though, this is an ABC News headline. Philadelphia police officers are in some hot water. I think you guys should pay attention to this article, maybe take some screenshots, read it later, but it's a really interesting article from ABC News. That's where I got this information from, fair use. And it basically goes on to say that, the commissioner of police has been notified of this behavior that's happening on Facebook and how it affects the public, how it affects the mentality of the police officers. And then you guys really need to take a look at this final quote from this attorney. Check it out. It talks about this self-reinforcement mentality that happens in the police officer community. They basically encourage each other to be more aggressive.
I know that departments and the folks investigating in these departments appear to be taking this very seriously. Commissioner Ross in Philadelphia, one of his first quotes to the local paper was, "I don't understand why this level of hate still exists in this country." I don't understand why this level of hate still exists in this country. And that seems like a really from the heart statement. He seems really worried about this. He seems really disturbed by it and like he wants to get to the bottom of it. And statements in other cities have been similar so far. We'll need to figure out, obviously they're revealing a lot of information right now. Once they review it, let's see what they think, and let's see, what actions have been taken. And one thing I definitely think we need more accountability within the department. That's very clear from this. I definitely think we need more accountability within the department. That's very clear from this. But I hope there's also a cultural change. I hope departments look at this and say, all right, not only do we have officers that did something that wasn't good for the department and that wasn't good for policing, but what I want is for officers to realize that this is counterproductive to the job that they're trying to do, right? It's incredibly important what police officers do. They are heroes, they protect us, and we need to know, everybody out on the street needs to know that a police officer will come and protect them in an emergency, no matter what they look like, no matter what their race, ethnicity, no matter how they pray. And one thing the thing that worries me most about this whole project is that there may be people out there who don't want to pick up the phone and call 911 because they're worried that a police officer who responds might not be in their corner because they are somehow different from that officer. And I hope departments take that to heart and really try, within the reforms that they take, to incentivize community policing, incentivize policing that gives people that faith rather than takes it away. The database is available at plainviewproject.org.
Well, you guys want transparency. I don't think it gets any better than this. This attorney out of Philadelphia put this website together, plainview.org, so that people like you can go on it and check out an officer by name, by rank, by salary, whatever you choose. The only one issue I have, and that you guys are going to have, is that this database only consists of officers out of 8 major cities in the United States. With everyone's help, I'm sure this information can grow. I don't see why this person would not take information from everybody if they had some posts to share from officers in your local community. But visit the website and find out. And make sure that you say the Disconnect sent you. That way they know it came from YouTube, came from this video, and they realize that you are part of this community where transparency is very important to you. I'm sure they'll be receptive. Just a reminder, guys, what you're looking at right now are some highlights from her video, plainview.org. Make sure you keep in mind that any names that are blacked out are names of either civilians or people they just could not confirm were police officers. However, keep in mind also that they are using the public databases to cross-reference the names. So unless one of the officers here used an alias or a completely false name, you're going to see their names on the screen here. Every one of these posts are a post either made by a law enforcement officer, active or retired, and replies or comments, whatever you want to call them, from the same active or retired law enforcement officers. Some of them are shocking, some of them are hard to believe, but this is what goes on. I personally have never seen posts like this from the cops I used to work with, because my agency was pretty small, I guess, in comparison to these large cities, which is probably why she targeted the large cities. But my agency was pretty strict about having social media and being careful what you put on there. They even had rules in place in the rules and regulations that said that if you were going to post a photo of yourself and it was in uniform, you could not display the badge or the patches. Otherwise, it was okay. So my agency was pretty aware of this issue, and this is going back 10 years, keep in mind. So I guess that's why smaller towns don't see these type of issues unless they have a chief who just doesn't really care or doesn't really know much about social media. And once again, just remember, any of the names that are blacked out are people that they could not confirm as officers. Any names you do see are officers confirmed.
Bye.